Hello everyone and welcome. Yes, my name is Arrowfire and welcome back to another episode of My Top 5. So today, we're going to carry on from a previous My Top 5. I'm going to do my top 5 Transformers characters from the Generation 1 cartoon, Season 2. Now, as I said at the start when I reviewed Season 1 characters and gave my top 5 then, anyone that I picked in the previous video will not be eligible for selection in this video. So it's only going to be characters who have just appeared in Season 2 of the Generation 1 cartoon. So, without further ado, let's get into it.
Arrowfire's Top 5.
Number 5, Inferno. Bit of an odd choice, but a character I always felt quite close to. Had his toy back in the day, and it's a fire truck. Fire trucks are always cool, particularly when you're a kid. But I always liked his kind of no-nonsense attitude. He was a bit of a kind of Western gunslinger. He had that kind of, Lone Star kind of vibe. And of course, his relationship with Red Alert was adorable and still is to this day. He was a fire truck, he was cool, and I do remember the line when he puts out the Stunticon and then he says, "I'll regret this in the morning," and I think that's just a good line. Plus, he's a good stature, he shares the grapple mould, more or less kind of brothers in arms, side by side. He's a fire truck, and when you're a kid, fire trucks are cool. I do like that he has kind of been used again in other media, but maybe not as much as I would like. It's a character I would like to see reintroduced with a bit of a purpose in the story. But his relationship or friendship, whatever you want to call it, with Red Alert is something to feel good about. Number 4, Hotspot. Yep, another fire truck. I guess we're seeing a trend here. It wasn't so much a Hotspot was a fire truck, it was more the fact that I liked his stature, and he's a big, bulky torso bot. I always quite like combiner bots anyway, and torso leader bots of combiner teams generally stand out more. This was no exception with Hotspot. I like the faceplates, they were quite cool, such as with Optimus Prime, as with Hotspot as well. His size was quite good, the double wielding guns, and I just liked the fact he was a leader from the front. It was very much part of his character. So whilst I also liked First Aid of the Protector bots, Hotspot always kind of stood out to me, and he was the general giving orders. And I think I felt that when they combined into Defensor, it was mostly Hotspot's personality that shone through than, say, the other members. He turns into a blue fire truck, which I said in a MMC review of him that I felt is an odd colour for a fire truck. I'm sure somewhere there's a reason as to why. But he's cool, he's a fire truck, and he's a torso bot, and he does have leadership qualities as well. It makes him a very dynamic character who maybe didn't get too much screen time, got a bit, but then combiner teams you worry more about the combiner than, say, the individual bots. But he always resonated with me. Number 3, Astrotrain. You can't really not have a triple changer, and we were spoiled a little bit, well, sort of spoiled on the Decepticon side by having Astrotrain and Blitzwing appear, leading to the brilliant triple takeover episode. Astrotrain, again, when you're a kid, what's not to love? A space shuttle and a steam train, plus a quite big size Transformer appearing. My only gripe with Astrotrain is that his personality didn't really exist, other than having leadership qualities, or at least wanting to overthrow and creating Astroforce. He was more or less the equivalent of Omega Supreme or Jetfire for the Autobots. He was transportation. And okay, space shuttle, steam train, what else are you going to do? But he didn't have what we see now with Skybound. He seemed like a bit of a more bloodthirsty warrior. That never shone through. He didn't really have any personality to speak of, but it did still make him an interesting character because of who he was. The fact that he was a triple changer and he looked good in all 3 modes. So that is why he's still beloved. That's why he appears a lot in comics and other media to this day. He's an important character, and the beloved Triple Takeover episode was more or less a spotlight episode for him as much as anyone else, showcasing his very talents. Number 2, Silverbolt. I've said this before, Silverbolt, torso bots, they're cool, but Silverbolt did stand out from the other aerial bots. Although arguably Air Ray was my favourite aerial bot, I liked how Silverbolt was portrayed. I liked the fact that he wasn't ready to be a leader. He was more or less a carrier craft in his Cybertronian days, brought in to be leader of the aerial bots who arguably didn't respect him at all, and he had to earn their trust. but he was a nervous warrior. He knew he wanted to do the right thing, but his anxiety got the better of him. But he's been an important character and has made appearances again, but notwithstanding the fact that to this day he still turns into a Concorde, which is a brilliant sight to see. It's an iconic jet that I love, that even though that aircraft has been long discontinued, any modern day toy or adaptation still more or less symbolises a supersonic jet. I think that is really cool. He appeared again in the Fall of Cybertron game alongside Air Raid, so he was reintroduced. There is a kind of nervousness to lead still in his personality to this day, but it added more dynamics to the character and made you care about the character more than say Firefly or Skydive. Again, Torso Bots I think are just more interesting characters anyway. This was no exception with Silverbolt and the aerial bots. And number 1, Onslaught. You might have heard me mention before that he's actually one of my favourite characters. And there's not really a reason as to why, but he's a character I've always been drawn to. I like the fact that the Combaticons were always kind of mindless criminals, somewhat war-hungry, but Onslaught was the cool, calm head. Even from the voice actor who portrayed him in Generation 1, there was a subtlety of tone. There wasn't that kind of raw, aggressive nature. There was a tactician mind. This even gets explored in the IDW comic series that I go on about, which is To All R1, where he kind of outwits the likes of Starscream, and I think that's a lovely dynamic to use. Plus his size, particularly in bot mode, he arguably stands taller than Megatron. He's a very big bot, again, torso bot of a combiner team. The only thing that holds him back is his alt mode is a carrier. It's a somewhat unimaginative alt mode, particularly when you look at the other Combaticons. He doesn't necessarily scream military vehicle compared to some of the others. Mind you, Blastoff was a space shuttle. What are you going to do? He is a character that I still like to this day. I like the fact he is the strategist, the tactician, the master general, and he's controlling 4 other reckless idiots who will follow his orders, so he is the brains of the team. And that's just always stuck with me, how I really do like him as an individual character, and how even though he's part of a combiner team, he can still stand on his own 2 feet. And there we go, that is my top 5 characters from Season 2 of the Generation 1 cartoon. What are yours? Do let me know if I missed any of yours out, or any honourable mentions. Do leave them in the comments below. I'd love to know what you think. But thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share and hit that subscribe button, because I will see you on the next one.